The Institute from Fallout 4 versus Caesar's Legion from Fallout New Vegas, two of the most formidable powers in the Fallout universe, representing completely opposite philosophies of survival in the post-nuclear wasteland. With the Fallout TV series Season 2 confirming Caesar's death and the Legion potentially fragmenting under successors like Legate Lanius, this Fallout lore faction breakdown has become more relevant than ever. The Institute, masters of science and technology, operating from their underground fortress beneath the ruins of the Commonwealth Institute of Technology under Father's leadership. Caesar's Legion, a brutal empire of 87 conquered tribes, forged into a disciplined war machine modeled after ancient Rome, controlling vast territories from the Colorado River to Hoover Dam, where they clashed with the NCR. The question is simple. If these two powers went to war, who would actually win? Let me tell you why this Fallout lore breakdown reveals a matchup more one-sided than most people realize. The Institute didn't just survive the Great War of 2077. They thrived in ways that would have been unimaginable to the surface dwellers, picking through radioactive ruins. While the college above lay in rubble for over 2 centuries, the survivors who took refuge underground didn't just wait for rescue. Their children dug deeper, built better, and by the 2180s had achieved something that sounds like science fiction even in a world of mutants and laser rifles. They created the molecular relay, a functioning teleportation device under Father's direction. Think about what that means. In a world where most people get excited finding a working radio, the Institute was casually breaking the laws of physics. The official Fallout 4 lore states that their technology surpasses even the pre-war Enclave, Vault-Tec corporations, and the Brotherhood of Steel, creating a hierarchy where Institute science stands above all other factions. When the Brotherhood of Steel, masters of pre-war military tech, needed their giant robot Liberty Prime just to break into the Institute's headquarters, that tells you everything about the technological gap we're dealing with. Dr. Madison Lee, who worked with both the Brotherhood and, later, the Institute, confirmed this technological superiority firsthand. But the Institute's real weapon isn't their fancy teleporter or their energy weapons. It's their synthetic humans, synths. These aren't crude robots like you'd find scattered across the wasteland. Generation 1 synths were basic mechanical units. Gen 2 synths improved with synthetic flesh. But 3rd generation synths are indistinguishable from real humans until you cut them open and find the synthetic component. Much like Nick Valentine demonstrated as a prototype. They're stronger, more resilient, and utterly loyal. Fan calculations based on in-game Fallout 4 observations suggest the Institute can produce roughly 20 Generation 3 synths per hour using their advanced FEV research and genetic manipulation, and that production line never stops. As long as the Institute stands, they have an endless supply of perfect soldiers. The elite among these synths are the Coursers, synthetic humans specifically designed for combat and infiltration. According to Justin Ayo, director of the Synth Retention Bureau, Coursers are selected from the synth population based on tenacity, fearlessness, and independence, then trained in espionage, investigation, psychology, and combat. They possess integrated Pip-Boy technology, Stealth Boy's advanced healing capabilities, and combat skills that put them on par with Brotherhood Star Paladins. The Railroad, an organization dedicated to freeing synths, becomes so terrified of Coursers that their first instinct upon seeing one is to cease all operations and go into hiding. Now let's examine Caesar's Legion from Fallout New Vegas. Edward Sallow founded this empire in 2247, a former Fallout 4 of the Apocalypse who renamed himself Caesar after discovering ancient Roman texts. The Legion has carved out an empire across the American Southwest through conquest and assimilation, stretching from the Colorado River to their campaigns at Hoover Dam against the NCR. They've absorbed 87 tribes in total, stripping them of their individual identities and forging them into a unified military force. This isn't a ragtag band of raiders. The Legion operates as a professional army with clear hierarchy, discipline, and tactical doctrine. The largest unit in Caesar's military is the Cohort, numbering about 480 infantrymen. Cohorts divide into centuriae of roughly 80 men each, which break down further into 10-man 10 groups called contubernia. The elite Praetorian Guard serves as Caesar's personal protection force. Colonel Cassandra Moore of the NCR notes that Legion training matches the Rangers. These are hardened, conditioned soldiers who've been trained not to think for themselves, but to follow orders without question. The Legion's approach to warfare is brutal and effective. They employ psychological warfare as a standard tactic, committing atrocities within sight of opposing forces and occasionally using children as soldiers. Their battle formations put newer recruits in the front lines with veterans behind them, creating waves of attackers that wear down enemy defenses through sheer persistence and numbers. Vulpes Inculta and other Legion operatives demonstrate their capacity for infiltration and espionage operations. Despite all this, the Institute's infiltration capabilities are still vastly superior. Through their Synth Retention Bureau, the Institute maintains a surveillance network that includes synthetic crows with internal cameras providing live feeds across the Commonwealth. They can insert synth agents into positions of importance. They literally replaced the mayor of Diamond City without anyone noticing. In the games, Legion disguises were notoriously poor, but the Institute's infiltrators are perfect copies of real people. There's no way to detect a synth without killing them and performing an autopsy. Picture the paranoia that would spread through Legion ranks as commanders realize that anyone, their lieutenants, their messengers, even their Praetorian guards, could be synthetic spies. The Legion's strength has always been unity and discipline. But how do you maintain unit cohesion when you can't trust that your fellow legionaries are actually human? Meanwhile, the Legion has no way to reciprocate. They couldn't infiltrate the Institute even if they wanted to. The facility is completely underground, with no physical entrance except through teleportation. The Brotherhood of Steel needed Liberty Prime, a giant robot armed with nuclear weapons, just to breach the Institute's defenses. What hope would the Legion have with spears and machetes? The most decisive factor, though, would be the Legion's dependence on Caesar himself. Multiple characters throughout Fallout New Vegas, Mr. House, Marcus, Joshua Graham, all make the same observation. Without Caesar, the Legion will collapse into infighting. The man who founded the faction is also its single point of failure. Marcus puts it bluntly: Caesar dies, the Legion dies with him. Even Legate Lanius, Caesar's most powerful lieutenant and potential successor, couldn't prevent the fragmentation that follows. This creates an almost trivial win condition for the Institute. They don't need to defeat the Legion in massive battles or conquer territory. They just need to teleport a single courser into Caesar's tent one night. Even with all his Praetorian guards, even with the Legion's best security measures, instantaneous teleportation makes protection impossible. Once Caesar dies, the Legion tears itself apart from within. We're actually seeing this play out in the recent Fallout TV series, Season 2. We learned that Edward Sallow is dead, and the Legion has split into factions fighting over succession. Macaulay Culkin's character, Lacerta Legate, explains, "The great founder of this empire, he died. We've been at war ever since, over who should be his heir. The Legion camp is literally split down the middle, with different commanders claiming legitimacy and their followers willing to fight and die for their chosen leader." This confirms what many suspected would happen if Legate Lanius or other potential successors couldn't maintain Caesar's iron grip on power. Even if we ignore the decapitation strike scenario and imagine a conventional war, the numbers don't favor the Legion despite their size advantage. Yes, the Legion has conquered 87 tribes and can field enormous armies across their territory from Colorado to Hoover Dam, but the Institute's synth production using advanced FEV manipulation is essentially unlimited. As long as their underground facilities remain intact, they can replace losses faster than the Legion can inflict them. Every dead synth can be replaced within an hour. Every dead legionary represents years of training and experience lost forever. The technological mismatch becomes even more apparent when you consider specific combat scenarios. Coursers have integrated stealth technology, meaning they can become invisible at will. They possess enhanced strength and endurance that puts them beyond normal human capabilities. One courser reportedly fought through a fortification defended by 25 mercenaries armed with energy weapons and won. How many Legion soldiers would it take to bring down an invisible, super strong opponent who can teleport reinforcements at will? Some argue that the Legion's discipline and experience would give them an edge in traditional battlefield scenarios. They're right, Legion soldiers are tough, well-trained, and fearless. But traditional battlefield scenarios don't apply when your enemy can ignore the battlefield entirely. The Institute doesn't need to meet the Legion in open combat at Hoover Dam or anywhere else. They can strike command posts, assassinate officers, and disappear before retaliation is possible. The Legion's psychological warfare tactics, which have proven so effective against other wasteland factions like the NCR, would be useless against synths. You can't terrorize beings that don't feel fear. You can't break the morale of soldiers that don't have emotions. The Legion's entire doctrine of warfare becomes irrelevant against an opponent that doesn't respond to intimidation. Even the Institute's weaknesses don't provide openings for the Legion to exploit. Yes, the molecular relay requires significant energy, and yes, the Institute struggles with power management. But the Legion has no way to target the Institute's infrastructure. They can't cut supply lines to an underground facility. They can't siege a location they can't reach. They can't even find the Institute, let alone attack it. As the sole survivor discovered in Fallout 4, accessing the Institute requires either their teleportation technology or a massive military assault like the Brotherhood's Liberty Prime operation. The research shows that this wouldn't be a war in any meaningful sense. It would be an extermination. The Institute could methodically eliminate Legion leadership through teleported assassination teams. While their synth crows provide perfect intelligence on Legion movements, Legion armies would march to battle against enemies that vanish before contact, only to find their commanders dead in their tents the next morning. The consensus among Fallout lore experts is overwhelming. The Institute would win decisively. The only scenario where the Legion survives is if the Institute simply ignores them entirely. But in any direct conflict between these Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas factions, the technological and tactical advantages are so one-sided that calling it a contest is generous. This isn't really a story about two armies fighting. It's a story about what happens when Bronze Age tactics meet Space Age technology. It's about the futility of courage and discipline against overwhelming technological superiority. The Legion represents humanity's oldest solutions to conflict, strength, unity, and martial prowess. The Institute represents humanity's newest tools, science, technology, and the ability to transcend physical limitations. Caesar's Legion might conquer the surface world through blood and determination, but they could never touch the future hiding beneath their feet.